Hello, my name is Rob.
And I'm Rob.
And welcome to Impossible Mission. It can't have escaped anybody's attention, but recently is a few weeks back, Halo was delayed.
Yeah.
Halo Infinite. I keep calling it Infinity, but it's Infinite.
It's because you're thinking of the Infinity Gauntlet and all that other Marvel claptrap.
Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't know. Maybe you just like the word infinity. It's a good word. But anyway, yes, it got delayed till next year, which led the Xbox Series X to a position where their launch is kind of knackered. But that's not what we're going to talk about today. One of the things they did talk about in the press release that they put out is the fact that COVID has caused a lot of problems and they couldn't deliver the game to the extent that they wanted to. So what we're going to be talking about today is basically, there's a drought a-coming.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone has noticed this already, but, there is this thing going around called a global viral pandemic, and it's had an impact on all aspects of life. It's caused all sorts of problems with all sorts of industries. In this case, we're talking about the games industry. How many events have been cancelled? How many...
All of them.
How many publicity and marketing events, things like E3 and stuff like that, were basically cancelled. All the esports events were cancelled. All of the little gaming conventions that are dotted around in different countries have been cancelled. The launch dates the release dates of so many games, so many big games. I mean, not so much. It seems that it's like a lot of the bigger titles have been pushed back by several months.
Yeah, I mean, it started off pretty well in the early months, going back to March, because we had, within months of each other, we had Final Fantasy VII Remake, and The Last of Us Part 2, and Ghost of Tsushima, which, rightfully, given the proof is in the pudding with a lot of these things, that'll give the impression that the video game industry is fine, it's healthy, it's coping with the problems of working from home.
Yeah.
But about those games, they were very, very deep into the development process when the global pandemic hit.
Yeah.
So basically, all we're talking about as far as them working in working from home situations is polishing.
Yeah.
Bugs, stuff like that.
See, with a lot of the games, with a lot of the bigger games especially, what you had was an average, it looks like, of a 3 to 4 month delay on the release date. So games that were supposed to come out in March are coming out in June. But the problem with that, right, one of the problems with that is the scheduling, right?
But those games were already near enough finished, that's the point.
Yeah, but the thing is, scheduling then goes out the window, because if you're putting, that's just the first part of this games drought we're talking about, because there is a drought coming, you are right on that.
A big old boy of a drought.
Yeah. See, when it comes to release dates for games, you don't want all games coming out on a specific date, do you?
No, I mean, a month or two breathing room.
Yeah, but if you're having to push back the release date of certain games that are supposed to be out in March to June, that means all of the games that come out in June from your company or other companies, they've got to be rescheduled to come out later. And then you have to push other games back, and then other games back, and it has a massive knock-on effect on the schedule for later in the year. But then you have this thing where not only are video games, the schedule is out the window, the schedule is completely screwed, but the development process for games that are in production, not near the end of production, but maybe they're just starting production, maybe in the middle of production, Well,
maybe not in the middle, but in the first year, let's say. First 18 months.
They might be in the process of level design, they might be in the process of asset building, they might be in various processes, various stages, but that all then gets effectively shut down.
Yeah, I mean, the first 18 months, Phil Spencer said it himself. He said 2021 is going to be a bad year, because let's just take a look at the components. The voice actors, you can't get them in, so how are you going to voice your games?
Exactly.
Your motion capture, can't do that. You can't get them in. All this stuff. There's so many other things. You could make the debate that once a vaccine is found, some sense of normality will return. But at the same time, you can't account for the lost time.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love
that lost time is going to manifest like in the release schedules, and it's going to basically after Cyberpunk in November. We're talking about slim pickings.
Yeah, I mean, MTV, which updates its release schedule weekly, right? The last game on their calendar is Cyberpunk. I've never seen that in all the years that I've been referring to MTV, to know what games are coming out. I've never seen just from November, just it stops effectively. There's nothing.
Yeah, I mean, going back to the Halo Infinite thing, I think that being delayed is a sign. Because honestly, I believe the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X will be the worst console launch for new games, maybe ever. I know that's very hyperbolic and stop the presses and, screaming at buses sort of craziness. But the effect that this has is rather significant. And it's going to spread out. I mean, 2021, you'll have some big hitters.
Yeah, but
it won't be every other month. It'll be every other 4 or 5 months.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, what I reckon you'll see in 2021, right, is a lot of re-releases, a lot of upscaled re-releases, right?
They have to, because they need to keep the lights on.
Yeah, I think that 2021 is a big opportunity for homebrew and indie developers to really step up their game.
That they are now.
Yeah.
I remember back when they first started, well, maybe not first started, but first getting some sort of footprint in the industry.
I think, I can't remember, were they Ubisoft at the beginning or were they Infogrames at the beginning? I can't remember.
I think it's some sort of crossover there, but it's Ubiquitous Software, that's what the name stands for.
Yeah.
But sort of like Beyond Good and Evil time, so 2003, 2004, where they really started finding their footing. They went a big company, and then boom, explode, whammy, huge company, one of the biggest games publishers on the planet. One of the side effects, I think, of this is we're going to see the birth of another AAA company, which is going, and that company will take complete advantage of this shunting, I guess, of releases and slowing down of the release schedule.
Yeah.
I don't know who that company is going to be, but somebody is going to take advantage of it, and they're going to make an absolute killing of it.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. One of the things that I think is going to happen with this, right, aside from developers, the bigger developers and the bigger publishers trying to encourage more and more people to kind of burn the midnight oil at home, which is going to be fun when it comes to motion capture.
Well, just on that concept, it's very hard because when you're in development, you're doing something and you have to work with a guy in another department. Say you're character, you're doing the look for a character, you're like doing the art design for a character. You need to talk to the guy who's going to animate that character to figure out if it's going to work.
Yeah.
In a traditional office environment, you just walk across the room and ask him or her.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're from home, that's quick process takes a lot longer. Yeah. And that's the sort of that thing how that gathers steam and slows things down incredibly.
Not only that, if you're encouraging people to work from home, because with developers, they can work from home, but this whole thing...
To an extent.
This whole thing, I mean, recently the whole idea of development crunch was in the press because of Limestone Studios and Aeon Must Die and stuff like that, which we're not going to go
there's so
into.
many. The Rockstar, yeah. Ubisoft, all of them, the Naughty Dog, they're all at it. All the devs
are guilty of this horrible practice of gaming crunch. But how do you do that when you've got people working from home where they're a lot more chill, a lot more relaxed? You know, how do you can enforce it in kind of a group environment when everyone's in an office at their desks. You're going, you got the whip out, metaphorically speaking. Maybe some of them have an actual whip, and you're basically going, "Work, damn you, work!" That's it.
I'm gonna like instead of like jumping on the back of your weird joke, I'm gonna take something that maybe you inferred but you didn't mean to. Past 2 years, I think honestly we've been spoilt. Like the quality for games. We're talking about some pretty damn special games in the past 2 years.
Yeah.
Well, I say that since like 2017, 2018 was like a really good year too. But that's the sort of thing that comes with crunch and working in the office and collaborating in very close quarters.
Yeah.
I'm going to take that you were maybe not outright, but sort of on the side, suggesting that high watermark for games quality is going to slip, and we're not going to see as many classics
See,
we're going to see more 7 out of 10s in the next couple of years.
Right, okay.
Not because of people being unable to make these games, more because of it's hard to really make something sing when you've got everybody's at arm's length from each other.
I understand what you're saying, right? From my perspective, having seen the video games industry from just after its inception onwards, I've been observing the video games industry, and I've seen so many changes in the industry over the decades, and when you go back over video games history and you look at the different publishers and the different developers and the different ways that people worked, especially back during the 80s and 90s, one of the things that I've noticed is that games these days, because of this whole idea of crunch, they don't give them, developers and publishers don't give themselves enough time to actually craft something really good.
No, because the industry's kind of breathing down their neck, and shareholders are breathing down their neck, and
that's
money.
Yeah, it's all money. But CD Projekt Red are unapologetic in their approach, saying we are not going to release this. Okay, we understand there's money involved and stuff like that, but we are confident people are going to pay for the quality of our product rather than the quantity of it. Right, so we're not going to release this game until we are ready to release it.
Honestly, I don't believe that another delay is past them.
I don't think...
They said that the melee combat isn't what they want it to be.
Yeah, and I think it might well be delayed again. I won't blame them, right? I would much rather play a quality product from day one than play an inferior product and think, why the hell have I wasted my money on this? The thing is, I think that's what we're heading back to, and that was a thing that was in video games before, until big business came into it. They actually, because making a game was a craft, it was an art form,
Before internet came into it.
Yeah.
As soon as publishers, I should say, I'm not going to throw the blame at developers, but as soon as publishers could basically get the game out as quick as possible, and you could have patches.
Yeah.
Internet patches saved them so they can sort of rush games out.
And I think that's one of the worst things to happen to video games, is the whole idea of just get it out on this date. Give yourselves a realistic release date. And, maybe it's a few months after you want it to be out, but it's realistic, okay? You don't have to kill your developers. You don't have to
support the older games longer.
Yeah. Support the older games longer. You don't have to kill your developers by forcing them to do this horrible crunch business, which most of them hate anyway.
Oh, yeah, without doubt. But we're straying into other topics.
That's the thing, though. You can't force developers now to actually crunch, because if they're working from home, you can't do that.
Yeah. Let's not talk about that, because crunch is a very, very big, very damaging, hurtful, abusive problem.
Yeah.
The thing is, this drought is coming. So, what's going to happen for gamers? When we've been spoilt for getting like a game every month, every month, constant stream of stuff. When it dries out, what is this gamer who's been spoilt for choice going to do?
Get yourself a table and go for those tabletop games.
That's not going to happen, let's be honest. I think I know tabletop gamers do video games, but a lot of video gamers just won't.
Oh no! I'm saying you can have some kind of Frankenstein-like setup where you have your tabletop game with the camera pointed at the board, and then you got a tablet so you can see the other players, and they've got their own tabletop game with a similar setup.
No. On a more realistic level, I honestly think that backlogs are going to become more important than they ever have.
We mentioned
you say what you want. Nobody plays everything.
We mentioned this before in a different episode. We did say that people are going to start exploring back catalogues from different consoles.
They're going to have
to. They've got no choice in the matter. They are going to have to. And there's
smaller
gold
games
there.
will become more important as well.
There's gold there. There's absolute solid gold in those back catalogues, and there's gold in the indie games catalogues as well.
Yeah, but we're not going to repeat them because I feel like we bring that up all the time.
Yeah,
but it's like you can't play everything. There's lots of things that you miss.
Yeah.
You might, let's say, for example, early on in the lifespan of this generation, Metal Gear Solid 5 was released on the same day as Mad Max. A lot of people skipped Mad Max because it was released the same day as Metal Gear.
Which is a shame, because Mad Max
and there's tons of things like that which are just buried by a bigger title.
Yeah.
And I think it's bad that a lot of games won't be getting released in the same sort of fast, constant regularity as we're used to. But it's kind of a second chance for the things that were sort of washed away in the.
Yeah, that's the thing. This is what happens when you have specific dates for video games being released. And I've always been puzzled by this whole idea of having a specific date that this game is going to be released. It's going to be released on this date, along with this other bunch of games from these other publishers, these other developers. They're all going to be released on this one day. This one day during the week of 7 days. It's only going to be released on this.
Well, digital games are much more open with that, but physical, yes, is 1 day a week.
Yeah, but I'm just thinking, why? Why is it 1 day? I mean, now, that used to be the case. Nowadays, it's a bit more fluid. Nowadays, you can have, like, between the Tuesday and the Friday, you can have games coming out on those 4 days, you know?
That's all digital, so, yeah.
No, you get some physical releases as well, but I still don't see games coming out on a Monday, which I don't understand, because Monday is, like, you know, it's the start of the week, people going back to work. You know, at least if there's a game that you're excited about coming out on a Monday, you go, yes, I'm going to work, but yes, I can actually buy this on the way.
So, there's lots of things that are happening here. Yes, a games drought is coming, that is unavoidable, because you can't basically have people kept away from each other and away from technology and away from resources and expect games to continue at the same pace. You just can't. It's unreasonable, and you're expecting too much of developers if you believe it's going to. And honestly, if you do believe there's not going to be any change in games in the next 18 months, 2 years, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say it, but you're an idiot. However, it's not all bad news.
Yeah, it's not all doom and gloom.
Like I said, it gives you a chance to play things that you wouldn't otherwise.
There's a wealth of games out there, and I think, as I said right at the beginning, I think this is a great opportunity for the homebrew and indie developers to really step up to the plate and bring some of their ideas to the fore, because I think what you're gonna have a lot of stray developers, right? I reckon there's gonna be people.
Well, just on that point, I think companies like Moon Studios, who did the RI games, who work from home anyway,
yeah,
I think they're gonna really flourish.
Yeah, because they're used to this format. I think that companies that rely a lot on really advanced technology, things like motion capture, I think that they're going to really run into a wall. Because unless they can set up a motion capture studio in someone's house, because at the end of the day, what everyone's scared of is a second wave of the pandemic, right? And in quite a few countries, there are a lot of studios who are American. A lot of big studios are American. Their headquarters are in America, or their major development centers are in America. And America is basically going through a massive COVID crisis. And so I am guessing that a lot of the developers will work from home. How are you going to do motion capture when everyone's at home? I don't know. Maybe a green screen in the kitchen, some ping pong balls on one of those big ones.
Yeah, it's going to be a dip, obviously.
Yeah. And that's why I think there's going to be a dip in quality, is because you don't have the resources to do certain things.
I wouldn't say dip in quality, I'd say dip in scale.
Yeah.
Because the games that are really going to be affected are AAA.
Yeah.
The games which are about pushing the medium forward visually or mechanics or system-wise, they're going to really struggle to continue and maintain. I mean, let's assume like tomorrow there's an injection.
Yeah.
You're still missing like most of 2020. So that time has to be present somewhere. That time has to be reflected somewhere.
Yeah.
That time can't just go missing and nothing happens.
Yeah.
You know?
But like I said, that's what happens with the scheduling. Everything gets pushed back. Everything gets delayed. I mean, think about it. If you look at, say, cinema releases, right?
They're just stopped. Completely stopped.
Yeah.
Production for movies stopped.
Yeah. Everything stopped, right? But
Literally.
if you look at the releases of cinema, right, of films, where they can actually continue production, they have done, but that's few and far between. And all of those movies that they were planning, or all of those movies that were partway through production, release date for those?
Yeah, just stopped.
Yeah. And the thing is, if they get back to producing, if they get back to making those films will take priority over other projects that they might have planned. And Marvel's entire slate. Marvel's entire idea of what's coming out in like their next phase is out the window.
Well, it's not. It's just kind of been kicked in the shins a little bit, so they've got to just rub themselves off and then readdress what's happening.
The Black Widow movie. When's the release date for that?
It was May, I think, but now it's November.
Yeah. That's, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. That's, 6 months?
Yeah, it's a big jump.
It's a big jump. Now, Marvel's next movie after Black Widow, we don't even know when that's supposed to be coming out.
I think it's Shang-Chi, and that was, we don't know about that.
Originally, it was supposed to come out, early next year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But now we have no idea, and that's what I foresee happening in the video games industry. They're going to get the games that they've got on their slates finished, get them out as much as they can this year, beginning of next year. But I honestly don't think anyone has any idea about future projects and when they might be released.
Well, let's just finish this episode on a positive note. I believe that developers, not publishers, I believe that developers are incredibly talented people who are able to think on their feet.
Yeah.
Where you're not able to do AAA games, I think they'll find creative ways to tell similar sort of stories in less bombastic ways. And video games will become more intimate for a while.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. I think that's something that needs to happen as well.
Sometimes you got to shake up the system.
Yeah. Sometimes
and maybe it was caused by something which is horrific and horrible, and many people died or had their life changed forever. But industry always has to move on regardless of human cost. And if the industry learns to have a sense of humility and be a bit smaller in scale, a bit more intimate, that can only be a good thing. Yeah. But anyway, yes, we've gone on for long enough. If you've got anything to add to this conversation, please do comment or check out the geekshow.co.uk for other stuff that we do. But until next time with Impossible Mission, thanks for watching.